Previously on Road to Recovery.
We know how bad he wants to fight. We know how hard he's been working.
We have to give our opinion and our honest advice from a professional standpoint.
We just spoke to the doctor, and he didn't sound good at all.
All right, Friday, January 14th, we have a practice at the PI, essentially our last sparring before we head out to Anaheim. I get a call from Markel.
Obviously, knowing that Francis got injured during his camp, we took him to go see Dr. Elatraj, which is one of the best surgeons in all of sports. And we got a call that he tore his ACL and part of his MCL. So that being said, it was a scary time. I called Eric and let him know the news. And it's something that we kind of suspected, but naturally anyone knows that that's a serious injury. So, that put us at a pretty interesting spot for his camp. Obviously this is a big fight, contractually big fight, just in him defending his title. And at that point in time, we had a decision to make.
It was all business, man. He said, look, I talked to Dr. Elatraj. He feels that if Francis fights on this knee, that there can be irreversible damage or surgery or whatever the word that they use, but it could be irreversible. He can ultimately affect his entire career from here on out. That it makes no sense medically to allow him to fight. And I'm just sitting there listening to everything that Markel has to say, and is just trying to take it in. And it was a lot of ways. I wouldn't say it was put on my shoulders. I know Markel wanted me to speak to Francis, and essentially it was like, hey, I think we need to pull out of this fight. And I think as a team that this was the decision that we had to lay out for him.
As your coach, as your brother, I have to tell you, I think it's a bad idea to fight with this like this.
I couldn't take that for so long. My only concern was okay, this will keep going for over months again, and then I'm losing control of the talk and everything. No, this is not happening.
So Markel called me this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And he sounds more urgent in the fact of that what this doctor relayed to them,
Mm-hmm.
that you should not fight on this leg, that it's going to could be irreversible or even worse damage and set you back even further.
It's not like an option, just to make sure.
Sure.
If you take a look, I'm like, well, he's torn, then it's over.
Yes.
Then if he said, no, it was the inflammation that make it looks like. Then
Now let me play devil's advocate in this regard, only because, dude, I'm talking about just we love you.
Yeah.
That's it. The bottom line is, what do you gain by fighting injured? What's there to gain? If you knock this dude out and we win, okay, then what's next? But what do you have to lose if this gets worse, or you get hurt, or you lose this fight? What are the pros versus the cons? And I'm not telling you one is more than the other, or this or that. But I think that's what we need to decide as a team or a family, and then you have to make the decision at the end of the day. I know, we all know, these motherfuckers don't give a fuck about you, bro.
I know.
So why are we doing them a favor?
We're all walking away from guaranteed money. But it's not about the money, it's about my brother. And that's what I care about the most. And again, he would have done the same thing for me. He would have told me what he felt, and I could have taken that information and done whatever I seen fit. And no matter what I decided, I know that Francis would always love me and have my back.
Us as coaches were saying, pull it. He's not 100%. He looked too good. There's too much on the line to lose this fight. Not just the fight but the leaving of France coming to Vegas component, and more so than that, the contract situation that was getting real sticky and getting touchy between Francis and the UFC. So there were so many things outside the fight with just Gunn. Francis was literally fighting 3 different opponents. He was fighting Cyril Gunn, he was fighting his ex-training team in France, and he was kind of fighting against the powers of the UFC. So with all of those things, the magnitude of all of that pressure, plus the knee injury, the logical thing to do was definitely not the fucking fight, period. My God's honest truth as a coach, I say no, because we haven't kicked in 2.5 weeks and we only sparred boxing 1 time in 2.5 weeks. I would say pull out. But I was in the same predicament as you, a lot bigger than you. I told my shit, I fought too, because I understand that too. If it's a go, I understand what you mean. But I think it's a lot at stake. So if I had a real injury, I would definitely pull out, because we haven't been able to spar in 2.5 weeks.
If you pull off this fight because you're not 100%,
You're pulling out
next time you might be worse.
I agree.
I
agree.
So that's kind of like the reason why I'm like, okay, if it's not something that's gonna be worse, which not gonna get worse, then I'm fighting.
The last kind of thing I remember about that conversation was Francis making a deal. and the deal was, let's go to LA, let's go see Dr. Elatrage. I want to see him firsthand. I want him to look at the knee. I want him to do whatever scans or whatever assessments that he can do. And if Dr. Elatrage says that I shouldn't fight, that it's not a good idea, then we're gonna pull out of this fight. But are you guys willing to go to Anaheim and let's go at least see what he says? And of course, all of us said, hell yeah, let's go. Let's exhaust all of our options all the way up to the last minute. And that's when we showed up to Anaheim to see what Dr. Elatrage had to say.
Overall, his meniscus cartilage right now, it looks good. Even if this is a little bit loose, you could put a couple stitches in that and fix that. But I doubt that he's even going to need that. But the next thing that's going to happen, if his knee buckles in competition, there's going to be so much force that he's going to badly bruise the bone. He'll rip the meniscus. Let's face it, they know this happened to him. Right. They're going to go after this leg. Right. The biggest thing that most likely going to happen is you're going to favor this side. Favor that side. You're not going to be good and powerful on this leg, and I think that you're not going to be 100% of the fighter that you are. So I would ask you, test it in the gym.
I've been doing. I never stopped training.
But you're not going 100%. Yeah. You need to go. You need to go grapple, takedowns, and striking like you would in a fight. Okay. But I know, at least in the gym, if something your knee buckles, they'll stop. They're not gonna. You're not gonna get hurt. If there was anything he can do without sparring with, but could really pivot and twist on this right leg.
Test it.
If it holds up like that, I mean, that's the best you can say to give him some indication that maybe he can fight, and get it fixed after the fight. Right. But the fact is he's got a 2 ligament injury here, and his knee's going to be vulnerable.
So if you're gonna do it, do it.
I'll do it.
Thank you very much.
The good news was that I was fighting, regardless. No on the doctor recommendation, but that I have made my mind that I'm fighting, because the point was to see the doctor, to have his own opinion. And he was very straightforward. He wasn't holding anything back. He was very clear about the situation and what could be the consequence. Then I made my mind out of it. I'm like, I'm doing this. No matter what it takes, I'm doing it.
should be packing right now, but we're gonna do a quick little walkthrough, just get a little sweat going, calls, responses, verbiage, any questions, things like that. Super simple, super quick, but kind of get that shake out before we get on the fight tomorrow. So super easy.
As you seen today, he was training without his brace. It did make me very, very nervous and a little uncomfortable, but he did well. He had great balance. He was throwing his kicks with no problem. I was really impressed. He even threw a few knees, and it was no problem. So that's one bridge we crossed safely.
We are leaving tomorrow morning. We're gonna go home unpacked. We should have packed earlier, but gonna go home unpack. Get ready to leave for Anaheim tomorrow morning. So this is it. It's time, man. This 5 weeks. It's Monday evening. 5 more days, and we are in the touching point.